Hi everyone, Jon Mitchell here, Mayor of New Bedford, and this is another installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. So, 4 quick items this week. So the first is that I just want to say thanks to everybody who made this year's Feast of the Blessed Sacrament successful. It had really great crowds. Usually when I'm walking down the parade route on Sunday, you see gaps between groups, and even though it's usually pretty well attended, lots of people go, there's at least you go a while without hitting anybody. This year, there was a continuous line of people on the sidelines from Brookline Park all the way to the feast grounds. It was pretty amazing, and probably as well attended as any parade I've seen in a long time at least. So a lot's going right with the feast. This year, of course, was the first year when women were in leadership roles there, and you can see that as good as the feast is, it's just going to keep getting better as the years go on. So congratulations to everybody. Another thing I want to talk about today, because it's relevant at this time of year, but it's going to keep being relevant every year, and that is hurricanes. We had a press conference this week about hurricane preparedness, the general threat of hurricanes, what the city's doing about it, and what people should do to be prepared. I think the bottom line for everybody is that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We will get another hurricane at some point, and more after that. It's just where we live on the coastline, and how New Bedford is oriented toward the East Coast, how its harbor is oriented toward Buzzards Bay. We're going to get hit with hurricanes. We have in the past, we will again. And so the question is, well, what are we going to do about it? The city government has plans in place to deal with them, but we want to make sure that everybody has their own personal plans. So everybody should just think about, if you had to leave, if you had to evacuate, and there's a decent chance at some point in the future that'll have to happen, where would you go? And secondly, what would you bring? What would you have to square away on your property? There are a bunch of hints on the city's website that you can check out. So I encourage you to do that. But I just think it's something we need to think about, just because of where we live. The third thing I want to talk to you about is we filed an ordinance, a proposed ordinance this week with the City Council to facilitate the creation of accessory dwelling units. These are in-law apartments in single-family neighborhoods. This is a way of helping with the housing supply, as in a time when housing is still a big crunch. We still feel a lot of pressure in the housing market, and so the more supply that we can get on line, the better. So this obviously isn't the only thing that we're doing. We're facilitating the construction of new housing, getting vacant housing back on the rolls, and doing a whole, and changing zoning as well. This is one modest measure, and every one of these things helps. The last thing that I wanted to say is I think there's an interesting opportunity for everybody to weigh in about the city's history. Around the city, you'll see that there are bronze tablets in places where something of historical importance occurred. It could have been a military event. It could have been where a famous person lived or stayed. It could have been where a famous ship was built. There are many of them around the city. And we think there's an opportunity for us to take a good look and say, have we covered it all? We don't want to litter the city with bronze plaques. They lose their value if you do that. But we do think that there are some things that we should be commemorating in a more conspicuous way. So we want people to bring forward their ideas. If you have an idea about something that should be commemorated in a big way, let us know. We have you can go to the city's website. There's an email address where you can send your idea. It's called historicmarker@newbedford-ma.gov. And if you send that in, who knows, we might end up picking yours. But either way, we certainly want people's input about what they believe is important about the city's history. The city's history of New Bedford obviously has a fascinating story to tell, but we want to make sure we are telling it. And so this is one way to do it. So we'd love to hear from you. All right, with that, this has been the Mayor's Weekly Update. We'll see you next week.